Welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, guys. Has to do with the new Line 6 Stadium.
Yeah, Line 6 Stadium.
Have you checked this out?
I have looked into it a little bit, just enough to know it's a Line 6 Helix update, essentially.
It's an update. One's got the little treadle.
10 years in the making.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it seems like just yesterday.
I can't believe that the Helix has been out that long.
Yeah,
how is it that old?
It feels like there's no way it should be 10 years old. And then the other side of things, it feels like it's been around forever.
I feel like it definitely needs an update.
Yeah.
It needs an update. But it doesn't feel like it's 10 years old.
I really thought when they sent this update out, they were going to send an HX Stomp update out also.
I was really hoping that the HX1 would be like reinvigorated too, because it still has the buttons. You know, they got this. I thought they would do the whole line.
Oh, I didn't think they'd do the whole line, but I did think they'd do the HX Stomp and then the Helix, all that at one time. But it is what it is.
Right.
We're getting new stadiums. It's the new flagship model for Line 6 now.
I can't imagine how much this is going to cost.
I think they're saying in the ballpark of $1,800.
That sounds right.
For the one without the expression pedal. And then I think like $2,100 or $2,200 for the big one.
Do you call it a treadle or a treadle?
Treadle.
I've heard some people say treadle.
Well, they're wrong. No, I don't know. They might be right. I call it an expression pedal. That way
that's the easiest way to
I don't have to say it either way.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome they're doing updates on this. I think we were definitely due for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive. And I know a lot of people have talked about how it's like, oh, it's really expensive. Look at this new flagship model. It's
but
like
think about
$2,000.
How much an amp would cost.
Well, not just how much an amp will cost, but every time there's a new flagship model that is pushed out, ever since, the 80s or whenever, it's always really expensive for that time period.
Right.
Whenever like the 88 preamps came out and all these like rack-mounted processors came out, nobody could hardly afford them. Like the regular Joes couldn't afford a $2,000,
right,
piece of rack gear back then. So I know it's expensive, but I don't think it's out of line expensive.
I don't think so either.
Not like some things that are getting expensive right now.
Right. And it's got that new Agora. Have you looked into that?
Yep.
It's a whole new processing. It's supposed to be fantastic. It's also got touchscreen, which that should have been. They tried to do it in the past and they couldn't. Yeah. But now it's got touchscreen, so that's cool.
I think that'll be the HX Stomp's big upgrade. I think we're going to have a nice touchscreen on there. Screen will be bigger, be less knob-based.
I don't know how they'd do that for the HX1. They'd have to have a huge screen.
They're not going to.
You think it'll be just what it'll be?
Yeah.
The effects aren't really changing that much. This is mostly amps they're worried about. So the HX1 might stay the same. But from my understanding, they have like some new takes on their classic amps. They got like a JCM 800 that's great. They have a new Vox amp that sounds supposedly spectacular.
Okay.
So I think it'll be really cool. They've got like an initial, I think, what is it, 8 or 16? I could be completely off. It could be just 6. But they have a new initial Agora amps or something like that.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to hear. I think, honestly, this will be similar to how the Helix has been. This will be like the thing everyone goes out and buys.
Yeah, I think all the Helix players have been playing Helix for 10 years and gotten their money's worth out of it.
So they're ready.
Just dump the old Helix, buy one of these new stadiums. Yes, it's expensive, but it's not outrageously expensive. You'll get a decent chunk of change for your Helix still.
Right.
Go buy one of these new stadiums. I think you're going to be happy with it. You'll get all the new updates. You'll get all these new amps that are coming out. I think the processor's probably faster and better. And if it lasts 10 years again, it's hard to beat that. If you buy the $2,200 one, if it lasts 10 years, you're talking $200 a year.
That's really not bad.
You're renting it for $200 a year. And then at the end of that, you can sell it and recoup some of that money back.
Right. I got a question.
Yeah.
We're usually not modeler guys.
No, I'm not.
Are you interested in this?
I'm no more interested in this than I am the standard Helix. For me, I'm not. But I can tell that you are a little more interested in this because you've been playing with a bunch of guys that have been going direct
for a while.
And you do notice the benefits.
I noticed the benefits in the simplicity. Like, not lugging an amp would be great.
Yeah.
You got this little board. But
it would never be just that board. Would you be able to use just the Helix and not bring any other effects pedals?
I think if it was a gig I wasn't too worried about my sound.
You don't care.
Right.
Like, if I don't give a crap about a gig.
Right.
You know what I think, though? I'm an old man. I'm a dinosaur at this point, right?
Right.
I've only got so many gigs left in me.
Oh my gosh. You are not like 65 plus or anything that.
But
why are you talking about this?
This is what I'm saying, though. I've only got because I'm not out there. We're weekend warriors. We're not professional people that are out there playing 4 or 5 nights a week.
Right. We're local musicians.
We're local musicians, and we play fairly often, but maybe I play some months, maybe I only play a couple gigs a month. Some months, maybe I play 4 or 5 gigs a month. You just never know how it's going to fall. And I realize as I've gotten older, because here I am, being the old man in the group here.
5 years older, by the way. We're brothers. He's only 5 years older.
But what I'm saying is, my mindset's like an 80-year-old, so let's be fair about it.
Yeah. He's an old soul.
I've only got so many gigs left in me. Like, I've only got so many gigs I'm going to play this year.
This sounds ridiculous.
It does sound ridiculous, but I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? If I have to lug a little bit more gear to these gigs and I get much more enjoyment out of what I'm playing and how it feels and what's going on around me, like, I don't care about what the audience and those people are thinking at the moment.
It's about you.
Yeah, it's about...
It's very selfish.
It is, because if my experience isn't good, their experience is not going to be good.
Well, that's true.
It's going to be bad. Whatever I'm getting out of it is what they hopefully will get out of it, or they'll get a small portion of it at least.
Right.
So if I'm not happy, they're definitely not going to be happy.
No, I get it.
So if I've only got so many years left of gigging, I want to make the best of them.
Okay. I can see I struck a nerve. I just think this is an awesome option.
You didn't strike a nerve. It's just something that recently has hit me that got me thinking about this, and we haven't got to talk about it. So I want to bring it up. Okay. I think that the Helix Stadium does look amazing. I would be lying to you if I didn't think to myself, man, that'd be a great backup option. That would be a great practice tool. That would be a great throw and go thing.
Honestly, I think the HX Effects board, just the effects, is more up your alley.
It definitely is. It's a little bit too big.
You just want a smaller version. You want one, like the 5 switches or 6 switches, like one row.
Slightly. Yeah, can we shrink it down slightly?
Yeah.
Even like the M12 or whatever it was, M9 or something.
Hey, you can still use that, by the way.
You can, but just shrink it down slightly, just to about that size.
Right.
It's same with that Fractal VP4 or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's only got 4 effects on it, but it's just a little bit too big. Like, it's not really too wide, but it's too deep. We're getting into off the rails.
We are. But what we're trying to say is the stadium's pretty awesome. I'm sure you all feel the same way. It's going to be an awesome product. I think it will be kind of the staple of modelers.
I think it should be. With how well the Helix is done and how well it's held up all these years later, it's 10 years old. And it's holding up with all these new modelers, in my opinion.
I'll be real honest. I would much rather have this than like the Kemper.
There is one other thing that is out there that is interesting, that interests me as much, and it's the Quad Cortex. But the Quad Cortex, I don't know what it is about the user interface. I know everybody talks about how easy it is moving things around the screen. It's the one thing that makes me kind of nervous about it.
Line 6 is pretty straightforward, and we know the effects, so it would be a little easier for us to situate it. So
yeah, if you're a Helix owner, I would say pre-order this guy and just get on the list and just get ready.
We love Line 6, so.
We do. I want to piggyback on this Line 6 thing.
Okay.
I want to talk about something. I want to talk about, this is kind of the opening to this new generation, I think, of these modelers and processors.
Okay.
So I feel like very early, generation 1 was the pod, the old bean, the kidney bean.
Right.
And then we moved forward and we had the Helix that came out right around the time, Boss put their version of that stuff out.
Right.
We had the Kempers. The first Kempers came out. Now we've got a new version of the Kemper coming out. We've got this new version of the Helix coming out. I don't know what generation technically we would call this, but we definitely have a new generation at this point.
I'd say we're like generation 3 or so.
Yeah, I would agree. So, and then all the Axe Effects stuff. We haven't even talked about Axe Effects.
Right.
So, I think we are at a new generation of modelers. And I kind of wonder, have we seen that great of improvement with this new generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely.
Okay. Where's your improvement? I'm not disagreeing with you. But where...
Is this like a yes or no question?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's completely changed.
Yeah. I think it's...
Look at the little bean.
Yep.
Man, you know what that reminds me of is the Line 6 spiders.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it was. Yeah. A Line 6 spider.
Yeah, similar. I saw a funny thing the other day, and it made me think, like, it had a picture of the old kidney bean, Line 6 pod, and it said, the advertisement was, sounds just like an amp. And then it moved to, whatever, I think it might have been the Kemper, and it was like, sounds just like an amp. And then it moved to the Helix, and it's like, sounds just like an amp. And then it moved to the Quad Cortex, it says, sounds just like an amp.
Right.
And then here we are now with this new generation, secondary Kemper, secondary Helix, doing all this stuff, and now we're saying,
sounds just like
an amp. If the first one sounded just like an amp, why are we still trying to improve it?
Right.
So, yeah, obviously they don't sound and feel just like amps. But, man, I think this new generation of stuff has made drastic improvements. I think the biggest improvement, in my opinion, the biggest improvement is user interface.
Oh, for sure.
It's not even the sounds. The sounds were great once we hit that first Kemper, hit the first Axe Effects. They were great. Were they just like an amp? Of course not. Nothing is just like an amp behind you with your ears hearing it from the speaker, the guitar speaker, not just PA speakers. Nothing is like that. However, I think the user interface has gotten way easier. We start moving into the Quad Cortex stuff where you can just drag and drop. All those little foot switches are basically knobs. From what this new Helix Stadium looks like, it looks fantastic too as a user interface. Mm-hmm. That's where I see the biggest improvements, honestly, over anything.
Like being user-friendly.
Yeah, just you can go in and just start working it. I mean, it kind of makes me wonder where it's going to lead to for the next... I mean, where do you go? We always say that, but I honestly don't... I've had opinions and thoughts on where they might go after this last Helix and after these last few things, but I don't know where in the world they're going to move for the next generation.
With this new stadium, it's hard telling where it's going to go. Because honestly, it sounds like it can do pretty much anything. You can have presets. You can have individual effect pedals. You can have an amp. Not to mention it's all touchscreen. So there's even like a hype situation on there. Have you heard about that?
Hype situation. I think I read something about it, but I don't know about it.
Kind of the way I understand it, this is based off videos I've watched, but like there's an amp that's in the pedal, okay? Well, a lot of people will complain saying that doesn't sound like the amp. Mm. So they have made a hype scenario that you can turn up where they think it gets closer to the sound in the people's heads than it actually sounds recorded. Because people have this
hyped up thing in their mind about it.
So they literally have this hype situation, which is probably smart to the
company, yeah.
Because they're trying to adapt to other people, but they're like, that's not really what it sounds like. We've done the testing.
Yeah. So
they've got this hype scenario. So now we're even trying to it's kind of like, you know how you're talking and your phone listens to you, and then the next thing you know, like the product that you're looking at is on your phone.
Are we in a conspiracy theory right now?
I'm just saying, government's listening, man.
Not to me. They're not listening to me.
Okay.
I hate to tell you, but they're not listening to you.
Maybe it's not
either.
the government,
yeah.
But it's our Amazon and stuff like that. But
okay.
I think that's kind of where it's probably leading. It's like, we suggest this for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost got some AI built in.
Yeah.
And it's like, based on what you have liked in the past, we think you like this new patch.
Yeah. Yeah, and the ability to capture amps has been great through all these different modelers and stuff. But it's always a snapshot. I guess Quad Cortex, supposedly they were supposed to be moving knobs, and like it was the most accurate because they, set up the models where, well, this is what it sounds like when the volume knob's here and versus here. When you've got a Kemper, whatever the snapshot is your snapshot, and then you're turning down bass and volumes and stuff. I'm not for sure about the new Kempers. That might be different, but first generation Kemper. Yeah, so all that stuff is getting closer. That hype is kind of an interesting concept.
You think about it, a lot of people think a Marshall sounds like Friedman.
Yeah.
You and I both know Marshall and Friedman, while they're in the same vein, Friedman sounds like it's processed. Different. It's that mixed, direct sound.
Mixed and mastered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the inconsistencies that Marshall has.
Yeah, I think that's why more people lend towards Friedman than Marshall.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you get used to the inconsistencies of some of these old amps,
the harmonics,
you go into playing some of these amps that have been hyped. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Some of these amps have been hyped. You realize, like, ooh, that's, I don't want to say sterile, but
you sterile? Just say sterile?
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Sterile?
Sterile.
I don't want to say that they're sterile, but they're different. They're different. I don't know. And then some scenarios I like that. Some of those, I struggle with Vox tones sometimes. Like plain Vox tones. And some of those old vintage Voxes, like I kind of struggle with a little bit. And then we go and play some of these different amps that are based on Voxes, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, Vox is really unique.
Vox is unique.
I feel like a lot of people, go into modelers and you're looking at Fender and Marshall typically, right? Vox is one I feel like still no one's got right.
No, it feels like every time I play a modeler version of a Vox, I'm always like,
does it really sound like a Vox?
It's not that good.
Right.
It's kind of like the Dumbles. Like, I played a modified Dumble one time, but not like a built from the floor up.
Right.
It was a Fender that was modded by Dumble, supposedly. However, every time I play a modeler and it's supposed to be a Dumble amp, I'm always like, I got a feeling it doesn't sound anything like this.
Right.
I don't know.
No, I feel like all the modelers are pretty good for their basic sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like there's lots of room to grow in even if you're modeling like a Dr. Z amp.
Yeah.
A train wreck.
Oh, Trainwreck be tough.
You know what I mean? Like,
problem is responsiveness with stuff like Trainwrecks, because the speaker responding with your guitar.
But I don't think they can. How do you do that?
You don't.
That's what I'm saying.
You can get a full range flat response, full range, whichever one is FR cab,
right,
and stick it behind you. But that's basically a PA speaker. You're sticking your guitar next to, like, yes, it's okay. It's better than nothing. It's better than nothing back there, but it's not the same as a guitar cabinet resonating.
It's not, but I mean, you're trying to, again, simulate.
But
something.
Then why don't you just have an amp behind you? That's what I don't understand with those FR cabs. Everybody's like, yeah, but if you need like the resonance between your guitar and your modeler, just stick an FR cab behind you. Like, wait a minute.
Aren't we back to where we were?
Now you're carrying this modeler and you're carrying this cab with you, plus your pedal board and everything. Like, couldn't we have just carried an amp and a pedal board?
Hey, listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying there's more to it than you think.
I understand that.
There's more to it. It's nice having your own monitor and to have something situated for exactly what you got.
I get it. But it's just, it's nice having sound behind you, like an amp, versus just coming out of your wedge or your ears.
Well, and that's kind of the thought, right?
But new generation, I think, is here. I think this is the start of the new generation. I think the next thing, HX Stomp, is coming, like we just talked about a little bit ago.
Right.
I think there's a new generation of that coming.
I mean, if that can be touchsure, that would be a game changer.
It would be. I think it's going to be more expensive again.
Oh, for sure.
Hold on to your hats, folks. It's going to get more expensive.
Everything will.
It always has, and it always will. And then I think Boss is due probably for a new modeler before too long. I don't think they are near as popular as some of the other ones. But I think there's a new generation coming up. I just wanted to kind of touch base with it. When you're talking about the stadium, I was like, this feels like we should jump on this topic now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because, yeah, it kind of meshes with it. Let's go ahead and move to my gas or pass.
Okay.
So my gas or pass today is talking about this new, not new, but it's one of the newer things Bogner's put out. Bogner.
Whatever.
Can somebody please help us?
We don't know.
We've said it both ways for like 15 years at this point.
Please, if you can write the pronunciation in the comments below, that'd be great.
It'd be amazing. So I'm going to say Bogner. Even though
I think it's Bogner.
It might be Bogner.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So this is the Ecstasy, the 3534. It's a 35 watt Ecstasy head. It's small.
Okay.
It is still 3 channels. You've still got your green, your blue, your red channel. It's got a 4-button foot switch to jump through. There's an effects loop in the back, which you can assign to either channel 1 or channel 2 and 3. So that's kind of nice because sometimes
the delays are different.
Yeah, the delays will be different. It has a boost function on it that's foot switchable. So you got a solo boost, like a clean boost built in it. It is $24.74. So a little pricey. You can find them
It's
used
really
though,
not bad though.
for $1,700. 35 watts. We were talking and about wattage here a while back, and what the perfect wattage is. It's got a master on it, 35 watts, all tube from Bogner. And what's your thoughts on this amp? The Ecstasy was one of those amps that there was years where I was like, I should get a hold of one of these.
You wanted one.
I really wanted one real bad. And then I've kind of went back looking at things, and Tom Bukovac and Dan Huff and Derek Wells and all these like studio cats in Nashville were using these Ecstasy heads on just the blue channel, which is kind of interesting to think about. But that's a whole nother conversation we need to get into at some point. But they were using these Ecstasies for dang near everything. All those like Rascal Flats at Joe Don Rooney, or I think is the guitar player's name. He recently done an interview with Vertex, and he was talking about how basically everything he's ever done with Rascal Flats has been a Bogner Ecstasy.
Right.
And that's all he tours with.
I remember when I was younger, you would always see him on stage with one. Always.
And it sounded so good.
Right.
He could roll down his volume and get like fairly clean stuff and then roll up, and it was just like massive, Plexi-esque.
To me, it's closer to Marshall than a Friedman.
I agree. The blue channel.
The blue channel.
I think it was maybe the Friedman before Friedman.
I don't disagree.
I think, I could be completely wrong, but I think, boy, I'm going to mess the guy's name. The guy owns Bogner.
I have no idea. Reinhold something.
Reinhold Bogner. But anyway, some of his early amps were modded Marshalls.
Right.
A lot of them were. And he's got one out, the Helios, I think is the name of it.
He had like a Metropolis for a while. Or
no, that's another company.
Oh, wait. Metropolis, that's from Superman.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But...
Oh, that is a different company.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
Metropolis amps. Yeah. So, Steve Stevens, I think, has played some of those Helios before. I know that... Steve Lukather is playing a bunch of them right now too. So I think these Ecstasy heads are really interesting, especially at $1,700 used.
It's really not bad.
24, it starts getting a little bit high for me.
With 3 channels though.
And it's got all the bells and whistles.
So I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna make people mad. I would much rather have this than any EVH head.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Like 5150, whatever.
Yeah.
I would much rather have a Bogner Ecstasy.
Yeah. I think I probably would at this point too. I think so.
That red channel is awesome on the Ecstasy.
Red channel's great. Green channel is not bad.
Pretty good for a clean.
But that blue channel.
That's where it's at.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And 35 watts, you're going to be able to do everything you want to with it.
Right.
So, is this a gas for you?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think it's definitely up your alley.
Because I was thinking about that PRS HDRX amp here a while back.
Right.
HDRX 20.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's a great sounding Marshall-esque amp. And I kind of got going down a rabbit hole. And before I knew it, I was looking at this Bogner 35 watt head. And I was like, man, it's about the same size as that HDRX. It's got 3 channels. It's 35 watts, a little bit more wattage. And ultimately, I'm probably going to be setting that blue channel 90% of the time.
Right.
And I think I might like the sound of it a little bit more than that PRS amp.
I
On a 112 cab?
I think for you it makes complete sense.
One of those ported 112 Bogner cabs? Bogner cabs?
You've been wanting an Ecstasy for a long time.
Yeah.
I think you need to go on it.
It's only been like 20 years.
It's not for me, but for you, go for it.
It's a gas for me. I guess it's a pass for him. So let's go ahead and move into your gas or pass.
All right, we're going vintage here, folks.
Okay.
In 1970s, it might have been released before then. It was probably the 60s. But Electro Harmonix made the Small Stone.
Yeah.
And that is a phaser sound that is out of this world.
See Chris Stapleton's
National Anthem.
National Anthem at the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Small Stone on, just cranking away on that old Princeton.
With the Princeton.
Oh, such a good sound.
Fantastic sound.
Yep.
So anyways, Small Stone, you can find one from the 1970s for $220.
I did not know that.
That's pretty cheap.
I like the sounds of that.
Don't steal all of them.
Yeah, don't steal all of them.
I think it's a total gas for me. $220 for a piece of history. I mean, this has got Gilmore written all over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a sound. For sure.
I worry about memory mans, however you say that.
Yeah.
I worry about them because they're going to fall apart on me. And I need that thing to work.
What are you saying?
The Small Stone, I don't feel like I worry about it as much.
Delay's real finicky.
Yeah, it does feel...
Delay's finicky because you mess with a box and it can totally mess up. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Phaser, a little less so.
Yeah, if it sounds a little weird, it's just a phaser. It's
okay. It just adds to the effect.
And it feels like it would be easier to work on, and maybe there's less moving parts. I mean, I don't really know for sure, but it just...
There's less knobs, so there's got to be less parts.
Yeah, that's true. It just feels like I wouldn't worry about it quite as much as and maybe the difference is price. Maybe if,
Right. If you lose $220 versus like $600-700.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to go get something repaired and spend $50 on it, a couple times versus taking a memory man out all the time and it dying on you.
Right.
So, yeah, memory men are not cheap either.
No.
They're not vintage ones.
And there's good reason. So
Yeah, they sound great. So, as in the history factor, I have to say it's a gas. Because it is like a sound and sounds fantastic.
I've always liked the Small Stone, I think, better than the Phase 90.
Mm.
Phase 90's really perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a perfect wave. The Small Stone, I mean, it warbles.
Yeah.
It really has, like, if you want a phaser, like, sound to take hold, it's the Small Stone.
I honestly almost can't compare them.
They are a little different.
They just feel completely different. Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, we're not going to use that.
But I think that the new Small Stones they're putting out sound great.
Oh, they're great.
Those new, like, nano ones even,
Mm-hmm.
they sound fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the new Phase 90s also sound really good. Just the standard block logos, I think
Right.
they sound good too. But those new Small Stones sound great.
Right.
They're inexpensive, so if you're not wanting to spend $220, $225 on a vintage one, worried about breaking down, all these different things, do not hesitate on grabbing one of those new ones.
No, the new ones are good.
But vintage, for me, it's a gas.
It's a total gas for me. It's under $300. It's a piece of history, and you got tones for days.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and move into your main topic?
All right. I think I'm going to switch my main topic up too.
Okay.
All right. So lately I've been playing with this new guitar player in my band, and he is very different than the last guitar player I played with. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I need to do a video or at least a topic that kind of talks about how do you play with another guitar player and how do you approach things.
Yeah.
So you play with another guitar player.
Yep.
But he plays acoustic, right?
Yep.
And you play electric. So how do you approach that? What would be your approach if you played like two electrics?
Yeah. So tip number 1, play less.
Okay.
Absolutely play less than what you normally do. Don't be chunking away on chords the whole time, eighth notes. Play way less. However much you think you should be playing, pull the reins back just a little bit. I think that if you're one to build dynamics and one to make it sound like a cohesive band and like it's got a little wave to it, you have to play less. That way, when you're playing more, the more means more, rather than just being straight ahead the whole time.
Sure.
Tip number 2 I would give is never play the same chords.
Okay.
Like, not the same, like, obviously play the same chords. If we're in G, we got to play
I was about
G.
to say, it's going to sound pretty bad, but...
Yeah. But play a different version of it, or, even better, play just like the 1st and the 5th, or just like the 5th and the 3rd. Like, play pieces of chords. Play triads.
Add depth.
Add depth. Play some different triads high up if he's playing down low. If he goes up high, you go down low. Find different rhythms you can play with, too, in there. You know, I think the biggest mistake guitar players make when they're playing with somebody else, for me anyway, whenever I listen to it, is you got 2 or 3 guitar players, like if you got 2 electrics and acoustic, and everybody's just don, 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 hammering away 1/8 notes or quarter notes. I'm like, oh, it's just like, because it always ends up flaming, ends up being messy, or reverb and delays are carrying over, and like, hey, we've got somebody doing that.
Right.
Somebody's doing that job. You don't need to do it too.
Right.
Find something else to do, or maybe just don't do anything.
Sit back a bit.
It might be more important to not do something. What's the old saying? It's more, the notes that you don't play are more important than the notes that you do play.
I think that was B.B. King.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that holds true more with 2 guitar players than just a single guitar player even. What's your thoughts? How do you approach it?
So, I agree. You have to complement each other. So, for instance, the guy that I play with now, he is very much like rhythm centric for the most part. We do share leads, but he's much more the, blues player, right? So he's kind of got the rhythm down. He's got it locked down. He's got the sound filled for that portion. So what I try to do is I try to add some depth to it. So instead of playing an E down low, I might play a bar chord in the middle of the guitar, or I might even try some, like, depending on the song, I might try similar, like an F chord, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Up high. I don't know what you call that.
F shape.
F-shaped chord.
Yeah.
E up high or down low or something like that. So I just try to add some depth in that way. But even playing guitar, not just talking about how you strum, obviously all that stuff makes a difference, but the tone structure makes a big difference too, right? I mean, we are a gear channel, so we got to talk about that a little bit. So as far as, if you got another player, this guy, for instance, he plays a lot of Fenders. Mm-hmm. So he plays some Fender cleans. Of course, I say I've got a Fender Princeton, a Fender Tweed. So the Tweed actually sticks out a little bit more. Oh. It's a good compliment.
Yep.
So that, or a Vox or something like that, that's kind of where I want to be. The big thing is you don't want 2 guitars sounding the exact same. You don't want them playing the same. You want to fill out that space as best as possible. And I think, like you said, if you just take a step back and start listening a little more, because the last thing you want is to totally like bludgeon everybody and going your volume's on 10 the whole time.
Yep.
And you're playing the same chords. That's not really the best way to make music. So
no. And you talked about your Tweed and stuff and his blackface style amps. Like, if you've got somebody that's got scooped mids, best thing you can do is have an amp that's full of mids. So like Tweeds or like Voxes, that style of amp is going to lend itself really complementary.
Right.
So yeah, tones is something completely to think about also. You really got to be thinking about your tones. You got to be thinking about, if you've got a keyboard player, that's a whole nother scenario too.
Oh gosh, yeah. You don't want to share those lows with the bass or the keys.
No.
So you really want to be in that mid-range.
Yep. I think about bands like Lynyrd Skynyrd with 3 guitar players and keyboards.
How do they do it?
And they've got 3 background vocalists. They've got a lead vocalist. They've got a drummer, and they've got a percussionist. You're like, how is there space?
And most of the guitarists were playing Peavies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really, how you separated yourself, single coil with a Strat.
Yeah.
Guy played a Firebird, and a guy played a Gibson Les Paul. Yep. So you had 3 different sounds. That was really the best way to do that.
they were such great builders of parts.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. Like a guitar player might only be playing like 3 notes, like in a certain section, and the other one's playing like 3 different notes, and it's like it was just amazing how they put parts together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I look at bands like that, I'm just like, boy, I don't know how they figured it out. I guess it's just trial and error, right?
Yeah, you have to after a while. You also learn like, oh, they feel comfortable in this spot, so I know I'm gonna lay low, right?
Yeah.
So you got to just play with, the band and the scenario there too. But.
Yeah. If your guitar player is playing like single coil stuff, sometimes it's good to go to a humbucker. It's good to kind of go opposite of what they're doing. If they've got a mid pushed amp, maybe you want a mid scooped amp, vice versa. And then yeah, lay out more. And don't be playing the same thing he's playing.
Right. And it's one of those things too, you'll have to trial and error it for yourself because you don't want to be completely opposite. If you're playing a clean telly and someone's got a Marshall with a Friedman, well, those are worlds apart. So.
Yeah, within reason.
Right.
Within reason. All that's within reason. Yeah, you got to find the thing that fits perfectly. You don't want to be the opposite, playing a 330 jazz box or something, or like one of those Polytone amps or something like that.
Yeah, with an Ibanez Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not good.
Yeah, but that's what I would do, and that's what I think about.
Yeah, I think it's something for everybody to think about. Here lately, like, that's seriously what I've been trying to figure out. Yeah. Like, how can I best compliment him?
Use your
him
ears.
Compliment me. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Trying to figure it out. So,
yeah. Well, write down any comments down below. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.